Hello! How are you today? Welcome to my home. Bubba says hello. We're hanging out. She's got a little bit of a... Oh, sorry. She's molting. This has been the worst molting she's ever had. I mean, honestly, it's been rough to watch. When you love somebody so much, it's so hard to watch them suffer in any way. I mean, you guys get it if you have animals, children, friends, family, whatever, it's just not a fun thing to do. Anyway, but she's a trooper, right? She's a warrior, and we're doing our best. But you might hear her growl or wince or whatever. It has nothing to do with us. She's just in pain. So with that being said, there is so many things I want to talk about today. In real time, today is July 2nd. And welcome July. Thank you, June. It's so crazy to think that we're already halfway through the year. We're already halfway through 2024. And the 8/8 portal's right around the corner. There's a lot going on right now. I guess it doesn't matter if you see my eyes or you don't, because I feel like I'm trying to find the light so you guys can see my eyes, but I got the vibe to just leave it and go and let it be. So also, I'm recording on my laptop, which I haven't done in forever, because I never had success really with that. And I noticed recently when I was watching movies on here, because my husband and we haven't had electricity in so many years, and in our new place we have an extension cord. We're not like completely on grid, but we have an extension cord, and so we can get just enough power to charge things and run a vacuum, things like that. But we don't use lights or any type. We use gas heating and things like that, and gas for the stove. So anyway, yeah, I started to get this vibe from Spirit when I was, recently we were like, oh, we should watch a movie on my laptop. I'm like, it's not the best, but it's still bigger than my phone. And he was like, yeah. And we were watching something and I'm like, dude, is it me or is the quality of that way better? And he's like, it is. And he's like, and we looked and my laptop's got this thing where it updates all the time. So if I'm online, it automatically updates, which is really fucking cool. And so I noticed that this is better. So I thought I'm going to try and do a reading on, or work on here and see how it is. And also I'm going to see how long it takes to upload it, because we don't have the best coverage, where we live. We don't get a lot of cell service where we live. So, I mean, we do, but it's not super strong. So if it takes 2 days to upload it, I'm not going to do, that's annoying. But if it's an hour or a few hours, I can handle that. So I guess we'll see. With that being said, Bubba's just going to chill and do her thing, and I am going to talk to you guys from the Self-Care Oracle, because even though we're at the beginning of July, we're at the end of the Gemini moon. We are just a few days from the new moon in Cancer, and this energy right now, it's not even that it's the end of the moon cycle. Every time I don't watch things or don't listen to astrology or step away from that stuff in my phone and that information for a while, and I just sink in with myself. It's funny, it always cracks me up that when I do come back on and I watch stuff, either I already went through it and I'm like, that's so crazy, or I'm going through it, or Spirit will have me make a bunch of shorts or videos for Lula's Life, or even Bubba's channel will make videos together, and there's links to all that, and you'll find them here. But we have 2 other channels. I have my personal channel, and then Bubba's got her own channel, because she's fucking Bubba, because she's awesome, because she's Bubba the Great. And yeah, I just all of these things started to kind of piece together, and I've been wanting to do readings, but I got this vibe to just lay low, take it easy, blah blah blah. And my husband and I, we take time apart sometimes, and he had a job that wasn't super far away, but it was a 2-day job, and it was far enough away that it's if you have to drive 45 minutes or an hour, especially right now when there's summer and rush hour and all that, and there's construction on part of the road, I was like, dude, just fucking stay out there. So when we do that, it's really cool, because I get that time to really just work on myself, and he gets to work, and then he'll take some time after that to go work on himself and go be in nature and camp. And so it's always a win-win for us all the way around. And yeah, so it was interesting that when I did come back on and look, I laughed because I was like, I'm literally like to the point where I was working with this moth, and I don't know if this will be posted before that, but Spirit had me work with this moth, and the moth was like telling us to slow down and like all this shit, and I was just like, I fucking love you, Spirit. And I don't really, I follow the cycles, but I'm realizing that I follow the astrological cycles and the moon cycles more naturally, energetically, than if I were to do it like, you know, like religiously, like, you know, looking at my little calendar and being like, okay, I gotta, this is the day, so this day I will blah blah blah. And also I wanted to talk about, be mindful of watching readings that are your sign, please, with all that is holy. Sometimes when I'm watching a reading, it'll be like down to where I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that's crazy. Like, down to like the vehicle, the make of the vehicle, like whatever in my life. And I have to like comment and be like, that's crazy. And I've always, in my experience, I've always been really blessed to have the reader come on and say, oh, so that was you. And I'll say the same thing to people. I'm like, oh, that was for you. Because sometimes it's a mass broad message, and sometimes it's literally for one fucking person. So do the math. If you're watching a video and it's got 26,000 views and like, you know, 1,000 comments or something like that, you know, I'm not saying it's not for you. Use your intuition, but don't make something your story. I am a triple Sag. I am a triple fucking Sag with my moon in Scorpio. So it's funny. I tend to look at things for Scorpio a lot, especially if it's something emotionally that I'm going through, because that's going to be more spot on, right? So you want to look at your signs, but also what I'm trying to say is I'm a triple Sag, and I've watched readings and I'm like, I watched the whole thing through, and I'll watch it again after the month is over, and not one fucking thing like that happened for me. And I wasn't trying one way or the other. I've even watched them after the month happened, and none of that aligned in my orbit. So is it helpful to have someone like myself and other people to be our guides? And absolutely. But do we want them to be our custodian of our lives? No, we're just here to help each other. I just, you know, throw the fucking breadcrumbs out, right? Like, just like I'm following the breadcrumbs from somebody else. So that's all it is. Also, I wanted to throw a shout out to CYNDI Lauper, because she just put out a fucking tour, and I realized that I used to be the most amazing. I am the greatest manifester, but I stopped manifesting things because I realized that there is something that's tied into, you know, our witchcraft, that is dark magic. You know, if you're doing something against other people's will, because everybody has free will, right? Like, so say you know, want to go to a concert, right? Like, for instance, many moons ago, I kept trying to see Tina Turner, and it just never worked out. Finally fucking got tickets with my dearest friend at the time, and we were so excited to go to this concert together. She loved Tina as much as I did. I mean, we were just like, we worked together as servers, and we'd be like, do I love you? You know what I mean? Like, we were like getting so excited about it. Then I had to move, and I was moving out of state, and she was like, well, fly back for it. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna try. And I never did. And looking back on it, it's like there are moments where I'm like, gosh, I wish I'd gone. But, you know, I wasn't supposed to go. She ended up going, I don't remember, I think she went with her mom or somebody. But, you know, it wasn't meant to be. Even though I wanted to go with her, even though, you know, but she loved Tina as much as I did. And I'm so grateful that she got to go. Am I fucking sad I didn't go? Yes. But, you know, it wasn't meant to be at that time. It wasn't aligning, you know? And there are many artists, Cher, I can go on and on and on, you know, Dolly and CYNDI, where it's like, it just didn't align, you know? I mean, my birthday sister, Taylor, her last day of the Eras tour is like, I can fucking drive there. It's not even that far from me. She's playing in Vancouver. I live in the Pacific Northwest on the Olympic Peninsula. I literally could, you know what I mean? Like, so I said to Spirit, I said, I have not been to Canada. And I need to renew my passport anyway. I'm like, if it's meant to be, I'm like, please find a way for me to get tickets so that I can go to Taylor's concert in Vancouver, BC, so I can see it, so I can be there, you know? Like, if it's meant to be, it'll align. And if it's not, it won't. It's just that simple. I want it, and I'll put it out there, but I'm not going to be like, you know, and 2 eyes of newt and 6 hairs of, you know what I mean, and like do a fucking spell to like go, because what if somebody else was supposed to go and that was their experience and I stole that from them? When I use my pendulum, which I use my pendulum daily all the time. I used it in the grocery store. Last week I went shopping. I had this amazing, cool experience I haven't thrifted in a long time. I haven't bought new clothes for myself in a really long time. And I told my husband, I said, I'm like, give me $100 and I'm like, I just need like a few new pieces. I know I've got a pretty kick-ass, I've been building a pretty kick-ass summer wardrobe over the last 2 years, but there are a lot of things that I'm just like over, but I kind of needed, more of, and so long story short, for $144, and that's with tax, okay, and I live in a very, very high tax state, sales tax. I got 18 pieces of clothing, 18 pieces of clothing, and 2 duvet covers for the summer, like the nice ones, because ours finally died, for $144 total. Yes, I dug. I was there. At one point, Alder came in. He's like, babe, I'm so hungry. What do you want to do about food? And I'm like, well, I told you, like, Trader Joe's is next door. I'm like, why don't you just, like, go get some food or, like, do whatever. And he's like, it's been 4 hours. Like, or do you want to eat? And I go, it's not been 4 hours. He's like, yeah, you said it'd be like 2 hours. I'm like, oh my God. And I did have this amazing experience, but there were pieces where I really wanted them and they fit me and I heard no. And I'm like, what do you mean no? What do you mean no? I curated that. I mean, it was like, I tried on so many clothes. I talked to people. I worked with people. I mean, it was a cool experience, but all the way around, but I told Alder when I was done, I'm like, that was so awesome. I go, I feel like I went out to like a nightclub. I go, except it was like with awesome people and trying on clothes. It was just like a really fun experience and exchanging information, and it was really rad. But the cool thing is that I kind of found myself again, and I was like, ain't nothing gonna break my stride. And I've been feeling like this huge, massive 80s comeback wave, which is when I was a teenager, and brings me to my outfit. And what really brought it all to life last week was trying on clothes that I used to love, like styles that I used to love, trying on colors and certain patterns and things that I used to love, trying on things and patterns, whatever, colors, styles that I always wanted to wear, or whatever, but didn't feel like I had the body type at the time that would work with that. So long story short, it was a super fun experience, and a few people saw me using my pendulum and they asked me about that, and actually it was really cool. Nobody was weird or made me feel uncomfortable about it at all. It was more inquisitive, and I just said, I do it because it may not belong to me. It may not be mine right now. And they're like, what do you mean? And then I was like kind of telling them about that. And I think that gives people more of an observation of like, it's not just mine or, oh, I want it. It's like, because our eyes can be very deceitful to, our needs and our wants, right? Because our eyes are attached to so many different things for us, and so it's emotions, ego, all these things that tie in, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's yours just because it happens to be there. Now, of course, yes, there are some things like that. I mean, there were clothing things that like, 2 for sure that come to mind that I have wanted forever. I know it sounds silly, but like I've seen them on other people, that kind of style. And I've just been feeling overalls lately. And then I started to think about it and I'm like, yes, because in the 80s, Back to the Future came out. And, when that came out, I dressed like, I don't know what it was, but I loved Marty McFly's style. So I had decided, well, actually I wasn't sure who I was. And so it made me realize like all these things are happening, and it's all tying into right now, because in the summer of 1984, I was 12, and it was the last summer before I became a teenager. And every time I see 84, I always say, oh, I was 13. And I'm like, no, I wasn't, because I turned 13, on December 13th. So I wasn't quite a teenager yet. I was still a preteen. And so I was trying to figure out like who I was, I liked the tomboy style, but I also liked being kind of girly. I was very confused. I didn't know, and this was a very different time. And, I was made fun of a lot for my choices and things that I thought or did, or, you know what I mean? So it was when I was starting to just become really bold, not just with my style, but just with everything, like my attitude, my, like taking all of these years and like kind of seeing what happened. It was also the first summer that my parents were divorced. And it was the summer that my best friend, Michelle, rest in peace and power, my beloved sister, she and I, we just, that summer, it was just life changing. She had older sisters, and my sister and I were not in the same place at that time, you know, and she was in her world and with, you know, her love and, you know, being a teenage girl, and I was in my world, you know, becoming a teenage girl, falling in love with the, you know, Johnny Angel, you know, the boys next door kind of thing. And I lived that summer at my friend Michelle's house, and it, you know, up until then, when I was 5, my parents moved us to a different neighborhood than I grew up in, and we lived in that neighborhood, and, you know, until I was 12. And then my parents got divorced, and my mom moved into an apartment, and so I lived in a home, you know, a 3-level beautiful home with my brother, my sister, my mom, and my dad. And then you know, that summer my parents were in their 30s, they were mid 30s, and they were very, you know, getting married at 17 and 18. They were very aware that, you know, of who they, you know, what they missed out on and whatever, and they just partied. And basically I lived that summer at my friend's house because my parents just couldn't really handle me and what I was coming into. I got my period that summer. I mean, it was just like that kind of thing where you're like, that summer, you know, it's just like that summer. And so when I saw that Cyndi Lauper posted today that in 1984 this song, and this day in 1984 this song was a hit, and it was She Bop, and it is hands down my favorite song of Cyndi Lauper's of all time. And so began my love affair with her. And, you know, and it was like I kind of went from this like Marty McFly, you know, dressing like a tomboy with suspenders, to wanting to wear crinoline skirts and leggings and wild hair. And Michelle and I like had our hair like you know, and our style, we were just, you know, and I loved her sister Marianne, the Indovina family. They were amazing. And, you know, and I'm so grateful to them. So I started thinking about all of these things, and I was saying to Spirit, I'm like, there are things about my childhood that I need to let go and release, the inner child. And I feel like that's what they're saying. They're like, there was something that came to me. If I can find it, I'll put it in the comments section below. I'll pin it in there. But I saw something recently. I've seen a lot of really cool comments recently, but one of them, and I'm paraphrasing, was something like, the magic is in the thing you're not doing, right? Like the thing that scares you, the thing that you're not doing, that's where the magic lies. And a lot of that undoing started then, right? Because when you're a child, you have all these dreams and aspirations, and slowly people crush them. Whether they want to or not, whether they mean to or not, they crush them. And, you know, the fear comes in, and, you know, some people work through the fear and they stay their cool, wild selves, and some don't. And I've gone up and down with it. And I remember, you know, wearing things like this, and my family and my friends being like, nobody's ever going to fucking take you seriously. Like, you're going to have to, like, wear suits and be in an office. And, and I remember thinking, fuck. And, like, when I started putting tattoos on my arms, and my mom was like, nobody's going to, you know, take you seriously. And I'm like, then I don't want to work there, you know? And just how much I fought against the machine and the matrix and the bullshit. And I was like, this isn't right. Like, I don't feel that, like, you know, like I remember screaming in my mom's face, like, I don't belong here. I feel it. Don't you think I feel it? You know, the whole, you know, moment from Overboard with Goldie Hawn. Like, I went through that too. And recently Goldie Hawn put out this awesome interview, which I haven't finished watching, but I will put that below as well if Spirit calls me to. But it was just all these things have been like rushing back, and I'm just like, wow. And there's something really tied to 1984. So interesting. And I was born in 1971. So for me, I'm starting to understand things in a different way, and trying very hard to bring back the positive side of my childhood. And like I said, if I can find the quote, I'll find it. But the other quote was something about, if only we look to the light instead of the shadow. You know, not ignoring the shadow, not saying that it didn't happen, not saying those horrible things didn't happen. I was molested, I was abused, I had horrible, by the time I was 12, my virginity was taken from me, you know? So when that happens, it changes you, you know? My innocence was stolen away from me at a very young, tender age, when I heard horrible, horrific things said between my parents, when, you know, when violence was, and literally, like, there were weapons that were used against my parents, against each other, you know, threats and just horrible, horrible things. that changes you. And I have spent many, 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 many years, many tears, many times trying to sort these things out, trying to figure it out. I have pulled myself away into isolation for years now. I have never been more isolated in the last decade than I have ever been in my life that I can recall. And it was because I needed to go through these things. I needed to work on myself. I needed to know that self-care wasn't selfish. I needed to learn that the things that I was taught and told by my parents, who were taught and told by their parents, and my teacher, you know what I mean? It's like that, it's a trickle down effect, but somebody has to say it stops here. Earlier today, I wrote this amazing, I don't know if it'll be a song or a poem, it feels like a song, and I was talking about stopping the legacy, you know, like, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to carry on the same arguments, the same hurts, the same pain, the same anger. Last night I had this vivid dream, and it was one of those things that I'm like, am I dreaming? When I'm in it, you know, I'm like, am I dreaming? Am I astral traveling? Am I in another dimension? Is this subconscious city where I'm working things out with these people that I couldn't talk to in this dimension, in this life form, in this place, you know? I always have to ask Spirit because I'm not really sure, and even in this moment I'm not really sure. But I do know that there were moments that were cool, and there were moments that were great, and there were moments that I was very sad, and I'm like, but I don't want to say goodbye, and I don't want to let go. And Spirit's saying, you just need to let go of the things that don't matter. And by the way, I'm having a massive breakthrough right now. I'm having a massive breakthrough right now. I'm having a massive breakthrough right now, and I have the chills in my body. And with that being said, I really want to push to this because, you know, this is my form of doing a picker reading, because I feel like in this reading today, you know, I like to really shake it up. If you look at any of my stuff, nothing's really consistent. I mean, I do some things consistently, I guess, but I don't feel the need to be the same all the time, and I kept trying to do that, and I feel like that's why my channels weren't as successful, because so many people would leave me comments and say, you know, you have really great content, but you're all over the place. I can't take it, which is why I branched off into Lula's life, because it used to be Lula's Labyrinth, because I had everything. I had my work stuff, I had my home stuff, I had Bubba, I had everything, and so I was pulled to, you know, pull them apart. And I thought Lula's life was going to be like a musical side of the magical medium, and then it all, you know, just, you've watched it. Those of you who've been with me a long time, thank you for being here, and welcome back, and welcome to the new people. We have so many new tribe members and soul family, star family, whatever words you want to, you know, whatever feels right to you, but you are welcome here. With grace and gratitude, you're welcome into my home. And I set up the barrier for loving, healing energy, and all you have to say is, you know, I accept this loving, healing energy during this transmission. But, you know, I go with the flow of it, and I've always changed like this. And if you look at my chart, it makes so much sense. And I've had readers, I've had the first person who ever looked at my chart when it actually meant something to me and I understood, was so funny. And she was just like, I literally, like, their face was so funny, because she was just like, I don't know who you are or like what you're gonna do, but she's like, I am so grateful to have met you. And I was like, oh, I feel the same, you know. And she's like, no, I'm really serious. She's like, you're gonna do something, I don't know what, but she's like, you're gonna do something. And this was when I was really waking up. This was probably about 10 years ago. So I've always been kind of woke, you know, like I've always seen through the bullshit. I've always, like, you know, like I've heard things or witnessed things, and I'd be like, what the fuck, man? Or I'd be like, hey, don't talk like that. And I had to stop talking to people or be around situations, or so I just literally couldn't take it anymore, because I was tired of the constant, you know, battle against the wind uphill, or being ganged up on or bullied. Or I'm no fucking victim, you know. I'm no victim, right? But at the time, I mean, I was taught by the best to be a victim, and I was taught to be a victim, a narcissist, and a bully all at the same time. And then I started to realize, as I unraveled each one, and realized that we all kind of have different parts of that. Baba too. Baba and I have had some things the last few days, you know, where I allowed her, and I say allow because this is where I sit, this is where Alder sits when we're participating in our family time or alone or whatever. And she's got literally like almost a third of this place to herself. And I allow her to go on the bed, but one day I had the drape down and it was really cute outside and the deer were out there and I was trying to get her attention and I said, yeah, you can sit there. Then it became, she was just like, I would sit here and she would growl at me. And I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, I allowed you to sit here. This is where I sit. This is my place. This is my sacred spot in this house. I share a bed. I share everything, but this is my little space where I want to sit. It's got my workstation right here, which I can pull this down. You know, it's awesome. My little secretary. And she didn't like that. And then we had words the other day. It wasn't nice. It wasn't pleasant. It wasn't pretty, but we got through it and we're fine now. You know what I mean? And we're chill. But I told her, I said, I'm not going to have this conversation with you every single time I want to sit down. You may sit here. You are welcome to join me. I love you. I'm like, you know, kisses. But Bubba's giving you guys love. You see, when they, it's not just that the light's bright. When she's doing that, she's saying she loves you. But I was like, you know, no, we're not going to bully each other. I'm just not going to do that. So with that being said, what do you need to leave behind this moon cycle? What were you working on in this moon cycle? And what part of your life are you not giving enough attention to self-care? Some people like to watch the whole reading. Some people only like to watch, you know, they'll like watch this part and then they'll go back down to the comments and then they'll, you know, go by whatever. I'm sure Spirit will give me a title, a number or something, you know, or it'll be like reading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever. I never know how many there are going to be either. So this is our form of a pick a reading that we can connect together. And Spirit's saying before I do this, let's take a few minutes. I've been talking for 26 minutes straight. Is that what it says? I don't even have my glasses on. Drink some healthy water, please. Self-care, self-care. I'm calling it self-care summer because, you know, for a long time I would say self-care September. But now I've been in this self-care summer because we genuinely like need to take better care of ourselves. So earlier today, to take care of myself, I not only did I dress up for Cyndi Lauper, but I decided to do an homage to her for Lula's life. So look out for that. I did a little dancing, you know, a tribute to her, and just I'm in such gratitude. But yeah, you know, it's like everything happens as it's meant to if we go in the flow of it. But if we force it, then it becomes something else, right? So, Spirit, whew, I've already called in. You guys are so strong. I can always feel it in here. I can feel how strong you guys are. And I can also feel how much so many of you are holding back your power, you're holding back your voice, you're holding back your words. If you see something, say something. That is like a no-brainer. I have been beat up. I have had shit happen to me for saying things that I was like, that is not fucking cool. I don't care if it's 10 against 2 of us. Like, I'm not going to let 10 people beat up one person. I would rather fucking die than just stand there and call for help and wait. I'm like, I will do whatever I have to do, you know? And that's me. I'm not saying everybody has to be like that, but that's just like ingrained in me. I've always felt that way. That's always been my superpower, is love and protection, because I know I'm protected. Because I in any situation I've ever been in, when that's happened, people have like come to my aid. They have come to my steady, man. Like where I've been like, holy shit, thank you so much. Like people just come out of the woodwork. It's happened to me more times than I can really recall. I mean, I've done that in bars a lot too, where, you know, if somebody's being picked on or something's happened, I don't care if it's fucking guys, you know, I've like jumped in. I'm like, you're gonna hit a girl? Go ahead, fucking go ahead, you know? So anyway, with that being said, I feel like Spirit's saying, for some of you, you really needed to hear that message. It's time to use your voice. Okay, so for reading 1, Spirit, what form of self-care, whenever they watch this? Because in real time, like I said, it's July 2nd, but there is no time in Spirit, right? So whenever you watch this, this is when you're meant to see it. But in Spirit's time, this is a time of relax and self-care. So this is the thing you need to focus on right now. Oh, number 18, meditate. Meditate. I've got my candle right here. Meditate. I don't know if I pulled this. I'm trying not to pull it. This is like I have to have the table there, or I have to have the laptop there. So I'm trying to figure out, oh, here, meditate. Meditate. And that is number 18, if that means anything to you. It's also the number 9 when you add them together. So they give, in the book here, they give the interpretation, and then they give the practice that Spirit is like calling for you to work on. Interpretation is, we see the silhouette of a woman in lotus position. Inside her are the moon and cosmos. Outside her body, the background sparkles with the same blue color we see within. So it's interesting. You know, I feel like for some of you, also, I was really drawn to the white background. So I feel like, you know, whether you're in northern or southern hemisphere, because our southern hemisphere family, right? Like you're in winter, right? Like in the northern hemisphere, we're in summer. But like, I'm here. Sorry, I got a little carried away with my dance with my CYNDI LAUPER, and I just like threw my hat back on and like what I did. I was just like, who cares? I don't really care about that. I don't really care about that. But when we are in these times, right, with Spirit, we are. What's up, Bubba? Do you have something to say? You don't want people to see you? Do you want to say anything? Do you have anything to say? Do you want to hide? You want to lay behind me? Well, I feel like this is what she's trying to show me, is that some of you are like hiding. Like, that's what it feels like. You're kind of lost in the background. But what I was going to hear is that, so many things are downloading right now, so I'm just going to take them as they come. So like I was saying, the first thing I was saying was a canvas. So it kind of felt like, for some of you, it's time to create something. You know, like you have a blank canvas. You can create anything you want to create. This is your time. This year, it's the year of the dragon. Years like this, astrologically, do not happen very often. They just don't. They just don't. Years of like miracles and beautiful things and cool shit, it just doesn't fucking happen like this. Not all the time. Maybe after this year, but up until now I'm, see, look at, now I'm like, sorry, now I'm like focused on things. I don't like having to look at myself and I don't want to. Not because I don't love myself, but just because it's like, you know, I wasn't getting ready for this. Sorry. I don't mean to be weird about it, but I can feel Bubba's like she doesn't want to. I can feel this from you guys too. Like you don't want to be seen. What's going on? It's making me super self-conscious. That's what it is. Thank you, Spirit. I'm like a minute ago, I was like, I don't give a fuck. And all of a sudden I'm feeling like super anxiety, self-conscious. Bubba's feeling like that too. Like she doesn't really want to be on camera, but she's comfortable, but she wants to be there. And I feel like, but at the same time, I feel like this is some of you guys. So if that's the case, then stay in your bubble. Work on that. Find out why you're feeling self-conscious. Meditate on why you're feeling this way. Why, you know what I mean? Because whenever, like, I was starting to lose it again, where I'm like, I don't know, man. I just don't think I'm supposed to blah, blah, blah. And then this thing pops up in my orbit, and she's like, oh, it's not you. It's the whole planet is in darkness. The whole planet's in shadow right now. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's true. You know what I mean? Metaphorically and, you know, literally right now, because we're in the shadow of the moon. Like, we're at the end of the moon cycle. So things are going to change and spark up, because Cancers are very creative, but they also retreat into their shell. So we're going into the new moon in Cancer. You know, it's just a few days away. Today's July 2nd real time. So it's just a few days away that we're going into, you know, this new moon energy. And also I'm getting, for some of you, the meditation is that it's time for you to meditate, get really quiet, because you're like, I don't know what I want. I don't know. I almost feel this panic. Like, this new moon is coming. What am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And Spirit's saying, whoa. But if you meditate on it and you think about it, you can manifest whatever you want, right? I was talking about that earlier, about how I used to force manifestations. But, you know, yes, do you have the power to force something? Sure. But do you want the trickle-down effect that it's going to have as the repercussions of it come back at you? You know what I mean? So I'm feeling like, you know, for some of you, also the new moon is, you have to remember that it's the transition from one moon to another. So you don't have to have every single thing, you know. Be mindful of your thoughts, yes. Be mindful of your words, yes, because we're speaking it into being, we're thinking it into being, yes. But don't get paranoid about it. You know, be more like, okay, that hasn't worked for me before. Show me a way that maybe it can work for me this time. And then when you set your intentions, which is really in the first quarter moon cycle, that's when, you know, that's when you want to put it into play. So give yourself some time and space in between the moon cycles to do that, right? So that was for somebody for sure. I felt that really, really strong. And like I said, you know, I told my husband, I said, I, I get this really strong feeling that you can use more time to yourself. And he's like, oh, I would love that. I'm like, me too. Like, this is perfect, you know? So, you know, don't force things. I don't give a shit about 4th of July. I'm 52 years old. I have seen 4th of July. I've seen fireworks. And I told him, I said, if you want to take the next whatever, I'm like, I've got food. I've blah, like, we're good. We have food. We have water. We're good. Like, all is well. All is well. I'm like, take care of yourself. I'm going to take care of myself, you know? I'm like, do what you got to do. So just because it's a holiday or just because somebody wants you to be there doesn't mean it's meant to be, okay? So there's that. So I'm going to kind of read this again because that just kind of like sidebarred there. So it says, we see the silhouette of a woman in lotus position. Inside her are the moon and cosmos. Outside her body, the background sparkles with the same blue color we see within. Meditation can be practiced in many ways, but no matter how you meditate, the goal is always to still the mind. Once the chaos of the mind is quieted, a higher level of awareness is achievable. Also, remember, this is, whenever you watch this, of course, they're timeless, but in the real time, I'm watching these trees like dance in the wind and they're mesmerizing. You know, because we're at the end of the Gemini moon. That's why I'm like, Geminis are like kind of all over the place. So they're saying like, we're going to feel a little more steady in the flow of the Cancer energy when the new moon in Cancer comes in, right? Because but water energy, just like the wind just showed me, like I can see like this one tree's like dancing, having a ball. The other trees aren't going to town because they're stronger, they're more sturdy. But this younger tree is just like, woo, woo, having a blast. The other trees are stronger. They're standing a little more, you know what I mean? They're more rooted, they're more grounded, right? Just like us, when we meditate, we get more rooted, we get more grounded. It's the same kind of thing. It's what they're trying to say to you right now. So when we let go of that air energy of the moon in Gemini and we come into the Cancer, we'll be in Cancer moon, Cancer energy, and you will know which water flow to take. Are you a slow river, you know, in the winter? Are you just going, you know, in a trickle? Are you in a rushing, you know, wave? Are you in a waterfall? Are you in the ocean? Are you all over the place, right? Because right now that's what I feel like. I'm kind of feeling more like the ocean vibe. Like I'm feeling like the wind from Gemini. I'm feeling the water of the Cancer. I'm emotional. You want to fucking cry? Watch Marley and Me. Watch Marley and Me. It's free on YouTube. If Spirit calls me to, I'll put it in the comments below. You know, I like to put the little, as my birthday sister says, the Easter eggs in there just so you can follow the breadcrumbs yourself to wherever you need to be. Also, 11:33 and 11:44 and 10:10 angel numbers have been coming up a lot recently. 10:10 came up today. And so, you know, follow those angel numbers. And if they have me put them below, I will. If not, and you just research it, you know, on your own. But yeah, I'm really feeling it. And as an empath, you know, if you are very strongly empathic like I am, and definitely if you're a light worker as I am as well, then you are connected to the cosmos. You are connected to this energy. So you're going to feel these things. You are in human form here, and it can feel very confusing, very disorienting. Very disorienting. My gosh, I never realized till now that I'm kind of pulling a little Diane Keaton. I just watched an old movie with Diane Keaton yesterday. And I'm about the same age now as she was in that movie then. Love it. I'm coming into my crone. I love it. I'm in my crone, but I'm in my baby crone. I'm at the beginning of my crone. So with that being said, you know, this is the time for us to, you know, let go of those emotions and those feelings. If you didn't watch the beginning and you're only coming to here, if you didn't watch the messages from Spirit, you know, at the beginning, then this is, you know, go back and watch it. If not, then this is just your message, you know, to flow with the water energy and to release and let it go. Cry your freaking eyes out. If there's a movie, a song, a play, a picture, a painting, a place, anything that makes you really cry, that you need to release something, I highly suggest you do that. You know what's funny is when I don't meditate for a while and I just really go into meditation, no music, no sound, I just lay there. The best time I like to do it is right after I wake up. I just lay there. I take in like 3 deep breaths and I speak to Spirit. And that's usually when I cry the hardest, because they'll give me some pearls, you know. I'll just kind of, I call it my blackboard energy, because I just kind of like, it's like a blackboard in my mind, and I'll just say, give me words or imagery or whatever. And so I just try and stay as focused as possible on nothing. Like I just don't think about anything at all. And there's a real cool drift there, kind of like in this picture. There's a really cool drift energy there where I just release and let go. And it's usually in that quiet and that still that I'll hear the most beautiful quiet voice tell me something that I really need to hear in that moment. And I believe you can find that too. So seek it out. So this says, meditation can be practiced in many ways, but no matter how you meditate, the goal is always to still the mind. Once the chaos of the mind is quieted, a higher level of awareness is achievable. Exactly, right? And when you don't know what to do, do nothing. And then get really quiet, meditate, and the answer will come. The practice is, and that's why, and also Spirit says, that's why I use my pendulum, because especially when I'm in stores, I'm a telepathic medium. Not everybody knows how to use their avatar properly. They don't realize that they're an open book. And so, you know, I'm standing next to somebody looking at a shirt and I can hear everything they're saying. And it's, there are days where I'm just like, you know, or even just like messages on the clothing, you know. I had this great conversation with this wonderful magical mother-daughter duo, and we were talking about that. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, you know, you don't want to see something like, you know, I'm going through the racks and I'm like, oh, that's a cute shirt, that's a cute shirt. And then I see Pussy 08 and I'm like, all right. You know, I'm just like, okay, I don't know where this shirt came from or why, or even why it was taken in by this thrift store, but whatever, you know, could be a pussy cat, could be anything. And we love our, you know, our punani, right? Like we love our vajayjays, right? We're our divine feminine. We love it. But at the same time, I'm just like, whoa, like what the, you know, it's just crazy. And then like next thing, that's one thing, thrift stores can be fun but can also be really triggering, because the next thing I saw was WTF, and it was a handmade t-shirt and you can totally tell it was like from like a softball team or something. And I was like, what is this? And it was like Warriors something ball, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I liked what it said, Warriors that, you know, fight or something. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool, you know. It's like for me or Alder, and I just heard, no, it's not for you. But I was like, oh, somebody else will get it, you know. But it was just like these weird moments where you're just like, what is happening, you know? But the messages really are everywhere, and the signs are everywhere, and the meditation, you know, that's a good place to find it. So anyway, the practice is, there's no standard way to meditate. Different religions and cultures approach the practice in different ways. That's right. There's no right or wrong way to meditate. Some people like driving meditation where they're paying attention, but they're also like, there's no music on, they're not talking to anybody, it's just quiet. And, you know, they're just like, it's like, because it's like, especially those of us who are pretty strong drivers, you know, it's like, it's almost like a second sense. There are some people who have a hard time driving and like doing other things at once. Those are the people, I love you, but you shouldn't be on the road. Not for you and not for anyone else. It's anxiety for you. It's anxiety for the other person, unless you can learn how to work through that, you know. But that's, you know, also probably why accidents are, you know what I mean? Whatever, I don't know, that's a whole other thing. But, you know, I know a lot of people that like to do driving meditation. You know, it really could be any way. You can lay down, you can sit up, you know, you can sit with your furry friend, you can be by yourself, you can be in nature. You can lay down, you know, in your bed. You can lay down in the grass outside, whatever works for you. Learning about these varying traditions is rewarding in itself, but you can also meditate without any attachment to a belief system or ethnic group. Exactly. Because meditation is simply a physical act, and it is a powerful tool as well. Consistent meditation has been linked to lower rates of anxiety and depression, as well as enhanced physical and mental well-being. You should try to incorporate meditation into your daily routine. It does not take long. Some suggest 8 minutes is enough to reap the benefits of meditation. Again, you can do it in 30 seconds if that's what works for you. You can do breathing meditation. There are so many different ways. There's not one blanket of like what is right and wrong. And if anybody's telling you that, do not listen, please. Listen to yourself. If you've never done it before, here is a simple way to get started. Sit in a comfortable position with your back straight and legs crossed. No need to go into lotus position, right? You can just, you know, like me, like I have my legs crossed. I'm not like in lotus position, like pulling my feet up, right? You know what I mean? Like I'm just sitting cross-legged. It's all good. Okay, so they're saying sit in a comfortable position with your back straight and legs crossed. No need to go into lotus position if it is uncomfortable for you. Close your eyes, feel the weight of your body pull you down to the ground. Now pay attention to your breath. Draw in air all the way down to your belly. Hold it for a moment. Exhale. Focus on the cycle of inhale and exhale. Keep breathing deeply. When your mind wanders, come back to noticing the breath. Do not think about your breath. Simply notice it. Yeah, so like, I remember when I was learning breath work, and I would get so stressed out because I'm like, I'm not doing it right. I'm not doing it right. And the only one I really liked was the dragon one. And it felt good to me when I was doing it. And then someone's like, you're doing it wrong. And I was like, oh, well, it feels good to me. And they're like, yeah, but like, it's the whole point, like connected to your diaphragm, whatever. And I was like, okay, you know, so like, you know, don't get too much in your head about it. You know, just don't get too much in your head about it. Just do what you need to do. Okay. So is there anything else you want to say about that, Spirit? Oh yeah, that they're saying this is very important. So don't think about your breath, meaning like I didn't think about just inhaling and exhaling. I wasn't like, you know, because you know, you could be like, I'm inhaling, and in your mind you could be like, I'm inhaling white light energy, breathing out, you know, that which no longer serves my greatest and highest good, back into the ether, back into the earth, back into love, whatever languaging feels good to you, you know, like it's whatever. But they're saying like, if you focus on your breath, meaning like, if you're like, and you're feeling good, and then all of a sudden you're like, I like this meditation, and you don't even realize that you're talking in your head, right? And then a few seconds later you're like, should I do this for like 5 minutes, or that's when you're like, just breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe. Don't think about breathing. You breathe without thinking about it every moment, or else you'd be dead. And when you think about it too much, right? So, simply notice it. Beautiful. So that is number one. So let's see. Thank you, number one. Thank you, reading one. Meditate. Ooh, those like flew out of my hand. Okay, reading two. What messages do we have for reading two? Reading two. Ooh, I'm feeling very ungrounded energy reading two. So maybe you need to go back and watch reading one. Okay, so reading two. Oh, I love you so much. Also, yes, we will talk about that. Okay, there's a lot coming through. Okay, reading two. Oh, okay. Oh, stop trying to control everything, Spirit saying. Whoa. Slow your roll. Stop trying to control everything. I honestly, before I could see anything, I saw Hanukkah. And so this could be specifically for somebody. I'm feeling like somebody who comes from a very maybe controlling. It could be. Now, Hanukkah came to mind because of this. Okay? This imagery. And my mind went really quickly. So the stripes I saw, you know, a menorah. And so it could be other things. But it's number 33, light a candle. Interesting. We were talking about in the group reading, we were talking about angel number 1133. So you may be seeing 33 a lot, or 333 or 1133. That means something. Research it. Also research 33, which is also the number 6. And the first reading was 18, which is also the number 9. So this year, even though it's an 8 year, 2024, and it's the year of the dragon, there's something really linked to the 9 too, like 369 could be the 9. For those who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. For those who don't, research it. Look up the 9 Galactic Council. I'll leave it at that. Okay. But I feel like for some of you, it's about not practicing the worship. And this isn't like, you know, maybe you were raised in a very religious, you know, environment, culture, where you are not allowed to do or say certain things. Like maybe, you know, I know for me, like candles and an altar and all that was like the devil in my family, very sacrilegious. I was reprimanded very harshly by a family member for it. Because I had placed a picture of other family members on my altar, which they're gone now, and it to me is an homage, but to them it was like a satanic act. So, you know, it's all in the way, it's all about perception. But I'm hearing from Spirit, do not be afraid to light the candle. Also, candles are there for protection. They're there for fire. Archangel Michael is some people call him the light bringer and the way shower. Some people, he is fire. He is the element fire. He is south in the direction. He is the protection. So it could be for some of you to call on Archangel Michael. I'm also hearing blue, the blue fire of Michael as well, even though fire is red and red is protection. But I'm just getting a lot of things there's a lot of different things that are coming through. But before I even open the book, I'm just getting a lot of cultural things that may not be exactly what you are into or have been into, but I'm hearing is a really good practice for you. I feel like this card wants to go back. It's almost like, yeah, it's like they want to be seen. Also, her floating on the moon. So, there's nothing wrong with being a witch. Number 2, pile 2. Not that you're number 2, but pile, reading 2, whatever you want to say. There is absolutely positively no shame in who and what you are. Look at Baba. Yeah, Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga, man. Baba's a very powerful, aren't you, Baba? She's a very powerful witch. She's my familiar. She's my demon. She plays so many different roles in my life. It's unbelievable. It's, so I couldn't, for some of you, maybe it's time for you to get a familiar, because I didn't even notice that Baba sat up, and we're so connected and I can really feel it. Also, I'm feeling for some of you, Baba and I've been having weird things with my diet. Isis wanted to come through too, and I'm feeling the divine feminine energy for some of you to really focus on your diet, whether it's summer or winter for you. If you're winter, I'm hearing if you want sugar, if you're in the southern hemisphere or living in the southern hemisphere right now and you're in winter, I'm hearing that if you like sweet things, there are so many sweet alternatives, but sugar is not your friend. Anything that's like not natural foods are not your friend. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from Spirit, is to release and let that go. Also, the self-care, I know for me, I'm super bad because I live off grid and I get really lazy, about my self-care, and can be really, really hard to keep it up. So I'm hearing for some of you, maybe in the winter, you're just having a harder time, or you're like, oh, I can just throw my clothes on, who cares? Yeah, it's okay to put weight on, right? And stay warm. That's not the issue. Spirit is saying, that's a natural thing for us to fluctuate in our weight in seasons. That's very natural. And I'm hearing for the summer people to focus on like the fruits and the vegetables. This is the time where you really get to strongly nourish your avatar and get it ready for the colder months when you are in winter and you're not eating, maybe you're eating more canned foods, or you're eating more, dried foods or certain things. They're saying, remember that your body is your temple, and it can be very, very sensitive, especially for the empaths, our bodies. I know for my body, when my body doesn't want something, she lets me know, and I feel like crap, and I don't like feeling like crap, so I just eat better for myself. But once in a while, even though I'm a vegan, once in a while I will be drawn to eat, never meat, but like I'll like goat cheese, or somebody will have cheese pizza and I'll be like, yeah, I want some of that cheese pizza, and I feel really good, but if I kept eating that cheese pizza, what I have found is if I keep doing that, I feel sick. My body's like, nope, my body doesn't want to eat animals. I work with animals. I am very close to them. And so their energy is so strong that I cannot put animal products in my body, because their energy is also going into my body. And most animals know that they're going to be murdered before they die. Because it's, some animals give their life for food. Absolutely. They're like, please, absolutely, but I'm pretty sure 42,000 chickens do not want to be in an airplane hangar clawing for life to survive, so that they, so you can go to the grocery store. I mean, I ate so many chickens from the grocery store, you don't even know. Like, my one friend and I growing up, like, we were like freaks about it. Like, if we weren't eating like 2 pounds of a salad bar, we were eating a full chicken a piece, and that was like our meal, our little binge, our little fun, Friday night, our little secret, my secret gnaw partner. We just sort of like eat our food. And when I think about that, I had the unfortunate experience to live on a farm where there was mass production of chickens, and when I saw it firsthand, it was like, I was like, I'm never eating meat again. I'm like, I am never ever fucking eating meat again. Bye Baba, thank you. I'm like, as long as there's breath in my body, I'm like, I will never eat meat again. but my familiar has to eat meat, right? Like, she is a predator. She has to eat meat. That's like part of her. But in her diet, she's got blueberries and all these other things. Like, she eats as good or better than us a lot of times as she's eating right now. You know, but I look at the food and it's all healthy stuff. And I make sure that, you know, the salmon, like, where are they sourcing the salmon that she's going to eat, especially now while she's molting, you know? So, you know, animals, humans, it's like our bodies shed and our bodies molt, and we need to take good care of them. You know, so I don't know why. It's interesting. We haven't even read the candle yet, but I'm feeling like this is a really strong message for all of us to just really, really be mindful of our avatar, taking care of our avatar. And one of the things of taking care of our avatar is not being in a place and with people, places, and things that are super, super unhealthy to our nervous system, to our auric field, any of those things. You know, breaking bread with, you know, a person who's not of, you know, who's not on the up and up, somebody who, you know, I remember an old girlfriend and I used to joke that that's how we ate out. When we wanted to get dressed up and ate out, like, and like be wine and dine and eat out at a restaurant, and we didn't have the money, we would absolutely positively go on dating websites. I'm like, of course I did. I was like, you know, I might meet somebody, I might get laid, I don't know. But I was like, you know, I definitely was, you know, for the first date, because in the beginning people were being more impressive, then people kind of caught on and people started to do more like, I'll meet you for coffee or I'll meet you for a cocktail, you know, because it's not that big of a financial commitment. But yeah, I mean, that's like not cool. That's kind of shitty. Like, you know, we were using people. That's karma. Like, shit comes back. But yeah, there's just like all of these things that they're like, you know, I'm trying to show you that and tell you from personal experience that these things, they land in our avatars. They stay with us in people's energy. So don't use people for this, or don't, you know, whatever. It's like everything happens. As I saw this, you know, was reminded recently from Deepak Chopra, that every single solitary choice that we make from the time we open our eyes until we close our eyes to go to sleep, every single choice that we make is our own. It is our own. So choose wisely, okay? So the light a candle interpretation says, candles warm any atmosphere. They shine soft, shifting light that touches something inside all of us. There is something almost human about the small flickering flame, slowly melting away the wax and swaying crazily when a wind comes near. Oh, I was trying to just do a thing and I put it out. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Wait. I was like, hold on. That was cool. Okay, but I'll try and do it. But you can see it, right? See how the wind changes? And we were just talking about this in the first reading about wind, right? And the power of Gemini. Okay. They shine soft, shifting light that touches something inside all of us. There is something almost human about the small flickering flame, slowly melting away the wax and swaying crazily when a wind comes near. That little flame is calming and hypnotic. If scented, a candle can transform any room. They are not only objects of decor, but objects of tremendous power. Yes. So look up candle magic too. And again, the magic that's for the good of all, but mostly for yourself, as long as you're not manipulating anybody else's atmosphere. I started to talk about this earlier, but it didn't come through, and I'm going to speak about it now. But in the Native American tradition, they believe, in the Navajo anyway. I saw a recent Navajo teaching, and he was talking about witchcraft, and he was saying that all witchcraft is dark magic, and I totally disagree. I don't think that's true. I think that dark magic is dark magic. And, you know, because I understood what he was saying, that any magic is, you know, going against someone's free will, but I'm like, it's not if it's for you. And it's not if it's like, if you're in a serious depression and you're having a hard time getting yourself out, doing your hair is like magic. You know what I mean? Like, just giving yourself a makeover, or doing something nice for yourself. That could be a magical experience. It can be a miracle experience, especially if you're having a rough day or a rough time. So, you know, it's all in what you make of it. It's all in what you put into it, okay? So that's really interesting. They do have tremendous power. Also, scented candles, be mindful of that. If you have a scented candle and it's a chemically scented candle, you may be getting yourself sick or making yourself sick, or you could be bringing that I know that may sound crazy, but that actually brings in a negative energy into the room too. For some people who cannot handle that energy, there are things that will float on that energy. Anything that's synthetic can hold shit like you wouldn't believe. All of it holds, everything holds energy. But in my experience, I found that something that has like cotton, it holds a different energy than like something that, you pick it up. I'm trying to think what's like this. Like these cards are plastic, right? Originally the card, look at that. I don't know if that's the next one or not. What does that say? Meal plan. Oh, I feel like this was meant to come into this because we were just talking about this and self-care. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's all in the way you look at it. Okay. I'm going to keep going because I feel like it'll either come back around to that or you get where I'm going with that. So the practice is dim the room lights, light a candle or two and watch them transform. See the wax give way and melt. Perhaps drip down the sides and manifest abstract shapes. Look into the flame and think about this moment and your life. Look deeply into the fire. Try to meditate as you fix your gaze on it. Relax, breathe in deeply. You can go back there. Wherever you need your mind to go, the candle can guide you there. Bring light into your space and light into your heart. So I feel like for those of you who watch like the whole thing, I feel like this ties into one, right? Like they're talking about using the candle in your meditation practice. And it's funny that the candle didn't come up in that meditation practice, but because you don't need a candle to meditate, but hell yeah, it does absolutely enhance it. Of course it does, By the way, what did that say? What did you say, Spirit? Oh, yeah. They were talking about fire scrying. So for some of you who have a hard time getting the answer through meditation because your mind's too busy, use the fire to meditate. Just stare at the fire. One time I did that for the longest time that I don't know, but I was looking at it for many minutes, and like I went into this trance and like I totally got the message that I needed from Spirit. So I hope that helps. Okay, so meal plan is going to stick with 2. Let's see, reading 3, they don't want me to read that. They're like, it's kind of self-explanatory, but it's also the number 9. So they're saying for some of you, get a meal plan. This is still on for 2. They're saying get a meal plan, put a meal plan together, research a meal plan. If you don't know how to do it yourself, research one. But, you can interchange things too, like what's good for you. Some people go by the blood type diet. Some people go by like just, the muscle testing. Some people, I like to use my pendulum because my muscle testing, not that I don't trust myself, it's just, for me, the pendulum just feels more natural. I've done the muscle testing and I just feel like the pendulum feels more natural. Maybe I'll grow out of it someday, maybe I won't, I don't know, but that's what works for me. But with the meal plan, if you, number 1, write out like breakfast, snacks, lunch, dinner, if that works for you. Some people like to do intermittent fasting. Some people don't. Some doctors think that it doesn't work, but every single body is different. So there's really no blanket response or blanket answer. The one thing that does help me tremendously is if I make food, what I like to do is go shopping and prep all my food in one day. If I can do that all in one day, it's so good for me, because then I have the other 6 days to just, I cook when I want to cook, but if not, I have prepared meals. I try to keep a soup on the stove or something like that. Even in the summer, you can do a gazpacho, which is a cold soup. It's the same thing where it's like you're just not having heavy carbs, but you're having like maybe something that is refreshing and feels good to your body, and it's all fresh ingredients. But, I have noticed that the more I've gotten off of processed foods, that I do feel much better. And I got really lazy about it. COVID, I went from being a big talker, Betty Crocker, about, oh, you should eat like this and you should blah, blah, blah. And then COVID came and I started to go down the slippery slope, and I was still alive and I wasn't dying from having pancreatitis, which is why I started my diet that way. And, I stayed sober. I didn't drink anymore. Drinking and smoking cigarettes was just like gone. Like it's like it doesn't even exist. It's like a whole other world. But the bad food habits came back, and the bad food habits came back because they were things that were linked to my inner childhood. That my bad food habits were created because of the lack of follow through with my parents, because I was raised with a family where my mother prepared the meals, and yeah, we had takeout once a week, or we had sandwiches. My mom didn't cook every single day, And my father helped cook too. He loved to cook, and us kids, we learned how to cook and that kind of thing. But then when my parents got divorced when I was 12, as I spoke of earlier, all bets were off. And that summer that I spent at my friend's house, her dad was an electrician. Her parents got a divorce too, and her mom was living on her own, and her sisters and I, it was just, we would go grocery shopping. So we were buying Oreos and Doritos and easy squeezy easy cheese. You know what I mean? You're fucking 12 and you can buy what you want. You know, it's like we did, you know. Also, they didn't question things back then, and her sister looked much older, so we used to get like alcohol and like, yeah, I mean, that was the first summer, that was the first year I started drinking. I think that might have been this summer. No, I think that January I started drinking. So and New Year's Eve was the first time with her family on a sleepover that I had pink champagne and really understood why my dad was drunk all the time. So yeah, you know, but it's like those were things that I had to like figure out, and the learned behaviors that I had that weren't mine. Then I started to realize how much I love certain foods, and I really enjoy being a vegan. Do I miss cheese? Sure. Do I miss meat sometimes? Absolutely. The other day I hadn't eaten breakfast, and I was in the grocery store, and they had a chicken. They were cooking chicken, and I smelled it, and I was like, oh my God, I love you so much, but damn, you smell good. I was like, I remember how much that because I can remember the taste, and I remember that it tasted good, but I know now I wouldn't feel good about it, and I know that my body would be like, what the fuck is this? We haven't had meat in 7 years, you know, 8 years. Like, no, you know. They wouldn't like that. I know that. So you have to do what's right for you. But you know, if you have a plan, you have an intention, it'll be a lot easier to do. Okay. Okay, so more water. I'm gonna actually take a break. Hold on. Okay. Girls just want to have fun indeed. I had to just kind of pull my hair out a little bit. I was like, what the fuck? Dude, I love that Cyndi Lauper's having like this massive like thing right now. I'm just so happy. I love everybody. Okay, so moving on to reading 3. What messages do we need for self-care for reading 3, Spirit? What messages do we have for self-care? And for those of you who are drawn to reading 2, there were kind of 2 messages in one in reading 2, so you may want to go and check that out if you're reading 2 or reading 1. What'd you say? Oh, this one was by itself. Okay. I don't have my glasses on. Okay, so self-care, skincare. Okay, so for reading 3, some of you, it's time to focus on your skincare. Now remember that our skin is an organ. It is the largest organ that makes up our outer avatar of our biological human avatar that we're living in. So we have to take very good care of it. I use oils. In fact, I just was thinking the other day, I was like, I need to get more lotion, or I haven't had lotion in forever. I've been using oils, and I love using oils. Sometimes I double my cooking oils as for oils that I make things, because they're organic and it doesn't matter whether I put them in my body or on my body. So it's a little tip for those of you. I mean, yes, do I want to have like MCT, like coconut oil? Sure. But when I don't have the purest of the pure oil and I'm on a fixed budget, I will, or I can't find what I'm looking for, I will absolutely positively use organic coconut oil. Super good for the skin. I can use that to cook with, so I can put it in my body and on my body. There are ways, when people tell me that they can't afford to take care of themselves, I say, I have to call bullshit for you, because I have been in the lowest form of poverty that I ever thought I'd be in. Never thought I would actually be in this lifetime, but I have. And I have found even in those times, you find a way. When you really need something or want something, you will find a way. Okay? No more excuses, no more victim, no more blah, blah, blah. Take care of your skin. Wash your face every day. And I need this one too. That's why I got the little stop. This is for me too. I get really lazy. I'll admit it. I get really, really lazy, and I have my hair down a lot, and I use a lot of oils. So I have to be mindful of when that oil builds up, I got to wash it away and open my pores so that they can breathe. So if you're having problems or any issues with that, very interesting that this one just pulled out with it. So I don't know if this is a double reading or if this is going to be for reading 4. Oh, I hear what they're saying. Journal it. Journal your skincare. Do some research. You know, if you're somebody, you're like, well, I just break out, so I just blah, blah. They're like, you know what? Your body and your skin, everything changes all the time, especially every 7 years, right? So we're right now in real time. It is July 2nd, and we are fully into summer now in the Northern Hemisphere and winter, and summer in the Northern Hemisphere and summer in the Northern Hemisphere, winter in the Southern Hemisphere. It's like I couldn't say it. So you may want to keep a journal of what you're using, right? Because even in the winter, our skin can tend to get really dry. So if you're in the summer and you're in the pool all the time, or you're in salt water, or, you know, whatever, and, you know, our hair, all that stuff, you know, by the end of the summer, I always feel kind of saucy and sun-kissed, but I also feel like my hair feels like kind of like she's seen the day, you know what I mean? Like she needs some work. She needs the oil that's in her right now, you know, like it's like your body is like, you know, telling you that it needs it. So the fact that we pulled skincare, where did it go? Did I drop you? Oh, it's right here. I think it's interesting that there's something to this. So it could even be that you need to journal, you know, what's working for you, what's not working for you. You can use your pendulum on this too. I was at a local farmer's market recently, and this beautiful soul had all these homemade organic products. I was so excited because I needed them, and I also wanted to support local, and I loved everything about her, and the packaging, everything. And then I went to smell it, and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, is there roses in there? She's like, yeah. And I was like, oh. And she's like, oh. She's like, we have a few other ones. And then it was like every single lotion she had something in it that was off-putting to me. Or I was like, rose hips, and she's like, yeah. I'm like, nope. I'm like, I love the smell of roses. I do not like rose in my stuff. You know, so it's like, be mindful. Make sure you smell it before you get it. Don't waste your money. Look at the ingredients. You know, if you don't know what the ingredient is, look it up. If you're in the store and you're on your phone, research it. Be like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what paraben is. Then look it up. You know what I mean? Research it. You know, sometimes things get bastardized or demonized, you know, by one, you know, person, culture, product, whatever, and then everybody either wants it or nobody wants it at all. You know what I mean? It becomes this kind of like, you know, and it's like to keep up with the Joneses bullshit, like, you know, whatever, fuck that. You don't need that. By the way, when I looked down, it was 111. So for those of you, for my angels, take good care of yourselves, okay? So skincare is on the menu, and so is journaling. And either journal that or just journaling in general, because I felt like there was more to be said. And that's interesting how these are going, because I guess I could technically like break them up, but I'm like, no, I feel like they're meant to go together. Is there any other, did you want any other ones for 1, 2? Oh! Okay. So this is this for this one? Okay. All right. So I need to put my glasses back on. I think it says number 28 massage, which would totally like tie into all this, right? So yes, number 28 massage. So we have 32, number 5, which is change and transformation, skincare. Then we have number 24, 6, journal. And then we have 28, which is also 10, completion, massage. So it could even be like, you know, it's time for you to like really like I feel like reading 3, you guys need to have a total spa day, or maybe a weekend, maybe a retreat. Maybe it's time for you to be like, fuck that, man. I know it's $2,000. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I've done things that I was like, you know what? I just have to do it. This has to be done. I just spoke about it at the beginning of the mass message, where I said to my husband, I'm like, I need new things for summer. I feel like I want to change my look. I feel like blah, blah, blah. And I got a download from Spirit where to go, the day, the time, everything worked out perfectly. Even down to the fact that like at the end I was like frustrated because I was like, oh, I'm like, I thought this was the day that you guys do your specials or your sales or something. He's like, no. And I was like, oh, and he's like, but you bought so much and you were so kind. And I was like putting things back and hanging things up, whatever. He ended up giving me like a really good deal. I think he gave me like $10 off my bill. You know, just because I was, you know, just because I said, oh, it was very genuine, you know, so you never know. But I splurged on myself, and then I got a little kickback from Spirit, and that paid for the gas money to get there. You know what I mean? So do what you need to do to take care of yourself. But it looks like some of you are in desperate need of a massage and definitely a spa day. And maybe journal it. Oh, I got the chills. And maybe journal it while you're there, so that you can look back on it and remember why you did it in the first place and why you aren't taking care of yourself in the second place. Okay, I think that's it for 3, but let's see if there's any more. I feel like one was just by itself because I was like, when I said that about one, but I mean, you could say the same about meditation. Okay, so do we have any more messages about self-care for the summer? Self-care summer, Spirit. Do we have any more messages for self-care summer, self-care winter? I think that's it. Okay, you guys, that is it. Do you have any more? Oh, this came out. And also for some of you who love to read, I love this bookmark. I don't know where or how I got this bookmark, but I love it and it makes me laugh every time. Don't nag me. I'm trying to read. Oh, you know how much I love horses. And it's vintage too. So if there's any like messages in there, wait a second. Hold on. I'm going to let you look at that for a second. Hold on. I'm going to let you look at that. But I have to see something for myself because I know there's a date on there. So I got to see. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. I knew it was vintage. I knew it was old, but it was 1984. What the fucking fuck? You all know Cyndi Lauper's a fucking witch. So, I mean, there are so many witches. So is Cher. So is Stevie Nicks. I mean, Stevie Nicks is an outed witch, but there are so many witches. I mean, look at Cher's mom. Cher is, I mean, come on. I feel like Cher and her mom remind me of that really cool Twilight Zone episode from the woman who has the beetle, and you think that the old lady is her mother, but you find out it's her daughter. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so much magic, and people are finding out, like, that humans can live so much longer. Just so many things are changing, right? But what the fuck? 1984. That's kind of crazy. If you didn't watch the beginning intro to this, I mean, and I swear to you, I even when I was looking, I'm like, oh, this is 1981. But I was like, but that's still kind of cool. And then I was like, no, it says 1984. So it says Sunshine Thoughts, copyright 1984, Antioch. Antioch's from Michigan. So, or it could be anywhere, but I heard Michigan. Publishing company, Yellow Springs, Ohio, zip code 45387, made in USA, design number H as in Henry 671, which is interesting because I was born in 71 and it's June. Oh no, it's not, it's July. I was gonna say 6 and 7 is 13, and then like 1's the beginning of, you know, the new. So there's a lot of cool like meanings behind this right now. But yeah, we just went 6, 7, right? Like we just went from June to July. Very interesting. It's the second, because then the next one is S is in, I was gonna say Sam, but that was my ex, so I don't say that anymore. So S is in Savior, that came out. P is in Potential. C is in Cat. N is in Never. Say Never. 5. Change transformation again. -108 -00209-2. And today is July 2nd. That's so crazy. I bet if I add all these numbers together, it'd be something really interesting. So some of you, it's time to take those books back out and read this summer. Don't give yourself any excuses. Read. If you love to read, give yourself time. Give yourself one book. Take it one book at a time. Don't put a bunch of crap on yourself, you know. Be where you need to be or whatever. But yeah, 1984. I mean, what does that even mean? So if we even add it up, so 1984, so 1 and 9 is 10. 10 and 8 is 18, and 4 is 22. Today's the 2nd. What? So look up 22 as well. All right, you guys, I think that's it. Do you have any more messages? Where did my Penji go? See, I'll meditate for a second. Baba, do you have any messages for the tribe? Do you have anything you want to say to anybody? Any bonus messages? Any bonus messages for the tribe? I feel like there's one more message and something I'm missing. Oh, Graphite came in, so you may want to work with Graphite. It's what's in pencils, which is interesting because we were talking about inner child, and I learned with pencils, right? So Graphite. This is light lavender amethyst. Healing. Talk about healing, and it's good to help quitting with addictions. Amethyst is super good for addictions, especially drinking. That's why I think that somebody told me once it was the crystal of Al-Anon or AA or something, right? So, and then we have Labradorite, which is good for protection, which we were talking about, Michael. So, I don't know if this means anything to you guys, but work with these 3 crystals. If you're wanting some crystals to work with, these are the 3 that called to me. And my medicine bag came in, and maybe take this summer to make yourself a medicine bag. All right, that's it. That's it. That's all we got. They said that's all we got. All right. Until next time, check out my little She-Bop video I made with my cute little outfit that inspired this video. And thank you, Cyndi Lauper. Thank you to all the witches, the healers, and the deep down believers in magic. And, you know, witches are just, we're from the healing realm. We're just angels. That's all we are, baby. That's all we are. Until next time, take really good care of yourselves and each other. And self-care summer, baby. Self-care summer and winter.